Namaskar. Wish you all the very best in life on this Independence Day, 15th August 2025. May our Bharat Mata become stronger day by day. May we all unstintingly work towards the goal of a Viksit Bharat by 2047, the 100th anniversary of our independence. It is but natural for anniversaries, any anniversaries, to trigger nostalgia and contemplation. Memories of the past, hopes for the future, they all come as jumbled thoughts in our minds. Watching the Prime Minister's speech from the ramparts of the Red Fort today, I was struck by a thought. We use some words without giving them much thought. Independence, Swadheenta, Swatantrata. We often use them while referring to 15th August, don't we? We call it the Independence Day, sometimes we call it the Swadheenta Divas, and at other times we call it the Swatantrata Divas, with no idea really of why we do it. Now they seem to be synonymous, interchangeable, but are they really? So let's talk about these words one by one. The first is independence. The dictionary calls it the state of being free and not controlled by any other person or country. It means externally there is freedom from control by others, and internally there is the freedom to think, act, make our own choices. For countries, it means self-governance and autonomy. For people, it means the ability to live one's life without much influence of others or control of others. Pretty straightforward, isn't it? The next word is Swadheenta. Now that is a word formed by the sandhi, the joining of three parts. Swa, which is a prefix in Hindi, and it translates to self in English. The middle part, adhin, that translates to subordinate or subjected to, under the control of, or dependent in English. It implies that you are under the power or control of an authority of someone else or something else. Now, curiously, when you add swa to adhin, it becomes swadhin, which means exactly the opposite. It means you are not under the control of someone else, you are under your own control. Now, it may seem simple or a very simplistic idea, but in reality, in its meaning and practice, there is a lot of layers. So for now, let us just stick to being under one's own control. The third part is ta, which is a suffix. Similar words in English would have suffixes like ness, iti, iron, shan, and maybe dum. Ta is also used to express the ability, safalta, kshamta, patrata, yogyata. So when we join all these together, Swadheenta would mean having the capacity to be under one's own control. The third word we use for 15th August is Swatantrata, Swatantrata Divas. Now again, this is also made by joining or merging of three parts, Swa, Tantra and Ta. Now Swa and Ta we have already seen when understanding Swadheenta, they still mean the same. The middle part, the Tantra, now this is a word with many nuances. In English, it could translate to maybe a system or a mechanism, a network, or a framework, depending on the context. Now, when we talk of a nation, Swa, Tantra, and Ta, together would mean a system of governance that is self-created and self-controlled. Now, as you can see from just this small analysis, the Sandhi Vichil, even though all three words appear to be very similar, there are subtle differences. On 15th August, we say that India became independent. Now that's a perfectly straightforward general statement in English, and that is fine. But if we were to call it Swatantrata Divas or Swadheenta Divas in Hindi, do they both mean the same? Did India become Swadhin or Swatantra on that day? Now on 15th August 1947, yes, we were no longer under the control of the British, and therefore we were not adhin. So we were under our own control. So Swadheenta Divas is correct. Now what about Swatantrata Divas? Is it correct too? Tantra, as you remember, means system. Did we get a system of our own that day? Not really. In fact, we didn't get any Tantra that day. Not our own, not a borrowed one either. Now after 15th August 1947, the bureaucracy that was with the British remained here. But they didn't have that much control over the entire country. Things were running on their own as they had for centuries. People ran their local areas based on their cultural practices, their philosophies. No laws, no policies, no strategies that were just our own. It was just status quo continuing because we really didn't have any other choice. There was no common code or law that was formally defined and accepted or which was applicable over the entire country. The country was just running under community morals, and that was helping it run smoothly. Now, it took 3 years for the constitution to be drafted. When we adopted it, then we had a system of governance, our constitution, our tantra in place. But it was to a very limited extent Swatantra, our own tantra. Now, our ancestors accepted it as the tantra of our own. But was it really our own or not is a question that got buried. It got buried deep under mountains of issues of extreme poverty, lack of basic necessities, very little education, and whatnot. Now, today, all these issues have been addressed and largely successfully. A lot still needs to be done, but what we have achieved has taken us to a vantage point. We are a lot more informed. We have the luxury of revisiting and debating the premises and the processes that led to the drafting of our constitution, our tantra. And because of that understanding, it has put us at a crossroads again. Was the constitution really a Swatantra? Was it an expression of the ethos of the nation? Or was it an attempt to codify into formal structure what the Western educated elite of India thought we should be like? How much of Bharat was really incorporated into the constitution, our tantra? The more I read and understand the provisions in the constitution, the more it feels like the constitution was just a codification of the English educated elite and what they thought we should be like. The more I explore the process of the drafting of the constitution, it just reinforces that feeling that the constitution was not ours. It was just what some elite thought we should be like. By the way, did you know that our constitution was not actually written from scratch by us? It was actually a compilation of what seemed to be good and desirable from studying several different constitutions that existed at that time. Now, there is nothing wrong in that, you'd say, and I agree, there is nothing wrong in picking up what is good from other people, provided we did not have parallel or better government fundas in our own philosophy. And yes, governance and policy, laws and polity, they are all the products of the philosophies that are inherent to any population. How much study was made of our ancient governance philosophies? Really, and that's a question we should ask. From the looks of it, precious little. And not that some members of the Constituent Assembly did not try. It was just that they had less influence on the outcome than they should have had. Think about it. People and countries have different philosophies. Things that are acceptable in one are not acceptable in the other. What is acceptable in some other countries, you just might be vehemently in disagreement with them. In such a case, would laws that were good for them or which were desirable to them, would they fit your belief in ethics? Question to consider is, did those countries have any similarity to us? Were they of a similar cultural or demographic diversity? Did they have a similar population? Did they have linguistic diversity? What about the ethnic mobility, spiritual diversity, historical trauma? So which countries whose constitutions did we consult? I'm hearing UK, USA, Ireland, Canada, Australia, Germany, France, USSR, South Africa, maybe some others, I don't know. These are the names are here. Are you telling me that what is acceptable and desirable in those countries would be acceptable and desirable to us in Bharat? Are you telling me that what is bad or non-negotiable for those countries should be bad or non-negotiable for us too? Moving forward, as we go towards the 100th anniversary of our country's independence, 15th August 2047, shouldn't we, Bharatiyas, as a responsible citizen, make it a topic of discussion, of debate, maybe even of dinner time conversation. Only when we are able to say that this freedom, this Tantra is something that is made in India, only then will we upgrade from being merely Swadhin to becoming truly Swatantra. So let the Shastrarth begin. Namaskar.